Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today I'm talking about a moment in time that really changed my life. It was when I spoke to a psychic. I am not one to talk about psychics. I'm not one to talk to psychics all the time. I think that it's a little scary when you're talking to a person who's literally telling you your future. So it always kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I know that we all have free will. So I was like, let's just try this. This was about a year ago, a little less than a year ago. It was probably exactly a year ago, actually. I turned 33, or I had not turned 33 yet, but 33 has been a big year for me, so I just know that it all adds into the story. It's been very life-changing. So at the time, I wanted to speak to a psychic because I was a little confused about my relationship, where my life was going. I was just in this state of kind of like, I don't know, is this person for me? Am I meant to be with this person? Is this person gonna love me forever? Like monogamy, I never believed that somebody could be with somebody forever. Like I always thought that there was always gonna be somebody better than me. The grass is always greener on the other side type of thing. And even vice versa. Is there somebody better for me outside of this? And this person has never given me a reason to think so, but it was just my own self-sabotage. It was just my MO to do that. That's just what I did. I did it in every single relationship. It's a cycle that I have experienced over and over again where things are good. And then I start to question everything and I'm like, is everything good? Is this person supposed to be for me? And then the moment that I realize, and I'll explain what I learned from everything, but just a synopsis is the way that I communicate and lack thereof communication. I thought I was a good communicator, but there's different types of communication in relationship, and also understanding how one person communicates is different than how another person communicates. And if they don't communicate the way you communicate, it's okay. It doesn't mean that they're not meant for you. It means you guys have to be two separate people coming together, learning about each other. And if you don't educate a person on how you communicate, or if you don't speak up for yourself, if you don't have the confidence to speak up for yourself, to speak up for your needs, speak up for your boundaries, all that stuff, you will get swallowed up by another person's way of communicating, thinking that that's the right way when it's not. People pleasing was involved, all this stuff, just lack of confidence, lack of authority over myself and over my words, lack of authenticity, like a whole bunch of stuff that I learned. But I was basically like, I don't know what I'm doing in this relationship. And I started second guessing. And again, it's happened like a cycle every single time through every single relationship. So I'm like, I really love this person. And the idea of losing them, I don't want that. But like, I don't know. And I kept like there was like the devil and the angel on my shoulders. Even though like the devil wasn't really that convincing. He was just like, you know, maybe this is not right for you and maybe you need to be doing something different. There's no way that this person is going to love you forever. You're going to get old and ugly, like a bunch of weird shit that would just be speaking. But then the angel is like, you love this person, you want to stay with this person, but you just don't know how to evolve in this relationship. So I want to talk to a psychic. I've been told about this lady from multiple people that I knew, and they were like, she's the real deal. I've heard a lot of good reviews of this lady. Basically, she'll tell it how it is, and then life will happen, and you will see those things happen, and which is scary, a little bit freaky. So I get referred to this lady. I reach out to her immediately. She is like, yeah, tomorrow morning I could do a reading for you. I thought it was going to take a couple weeks to get a reading. I've done readings in the past. I've done astrology readings, birth chart readings, tarot readings, and I've been kind of prepped on how to do readings. So I knew that I needed to get to a certain place that was quiet. I went to work a couple hours early. I wanted to make sure that I had a clear head, a clear channel, so I can allow my guides and my angels and whomever is this person is speaking through, just opening up my channel so that I'm the person that I am giving entrance, the person that I am giving, I'm allowing to enter into my psyche has a clear space. So they can really read clearly on what's going on. Because I didn't really know how psychics work. So I'm just like, I don't know. She didn't tell me that I needed to really do anything beforehand. She just basically like reads you in that moment, your aura, your vibes, all that stuff. I wanted to make sure that my shit was clear. So I get to work there. I get to work a couple hours early before my patients. I set up in one of the rooms. I'm like, okay. And then I'm ready to do the reading and she doesn't show up. And I'm like, okay. I text her and it's 15 minutes go by and I'm like, okay, are we still doing this? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be about 30 minutes late. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm just anxious as fuck. And I will just sit here more anxious. And actually, I'll get up and I'll start cleaning and I'll start doing other things just to get my mind in a different space because I was anxious. The moment that she said that she could do this reading, it was like an anxiety, but also an excitement. It was like, oh, wow, my life is about to change. It was that type of feeling without even knowing that it was going to be that. It was just like, this woman is about to tell me some shit that is going to excite me and is going to to change the trajectory of my life. Or maybe she's going to tell me this is what this is and your life is great and your relationship is great and everything is great and you're doing so great, honey. And it's just going to give me a validation of how great my life is and to stop worrying. So that's what I thought. And I was super anxious about it. So I was like, okay, this lady is taking a little bit longer. 30 minutes go by and then she still isn't, she was still a little bit more late. So basically it was like an hour of me kind of waiting in suspense. So we finally get on the call and this lady looks like a psychic would look. She looks like a person that can see some stuff, can hear some stuff, can read some stuff. At first, I'm just kind of like, what am I doing? Who is this person? But I've had, again, so many references. So many people refer me to her and they love her and they think that she's just fantastic. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And she was very cheap, very inexpensive, not cheap because the product that she gave was not cheap. It was amazing, but she's just very inexpensive. She could definitely charge more. So, or maybe that's just me living in South Florida and everybody charges a lot. So we get on this call. She was traveling at the time, so she was sitting in a closet and just the whole setup. I was like, man, this is just so crazy that I'm doing this. So I get out a pen and paper and I just kind of sit back and she just starts reading. And I immediately she starts off with, and I haven't told her anything, by the way. Haven't told her one thing about what I want to talk about, or it could be about my career, it could be about my family, it could be about my health, it could be about my relationship. Some people say that, they're always going to start off about romance and love because that's what everybody wants to. Not all the time. Sometimes I want to know about my career. Sometimes I don't want to know about my relationship, but I did at this time. So I didn't tell her anything. She gets on, she just starts reading my auric field, whatever it is that she's reading. She's doing this. She's pulling with some pentagrams, really cool. She was doing something and something was happening. I didn't know if I believed it in the moment, but it was happening. So she immediately goes, the person that you are, she's like, I know that you want to talk about your relationship and love life. The person that you're with right now, you're not going to end up being with. It's not going to work out. I kind of see this person floating on a cloud away from you and you're down here and you're just kind of trekking along and he's kind of over here la la la. So basically throws the bomb in that my relationship is not going to work. Then says that you're going to meet about 5 other versions of people, 5 other people basically before you find your person. I'm like, what the fuck? And then she that in that moment, completely shut down. I was like, what? Like it's almost like I was waiting for somebody to tell me, yes, you were supposed to be with this person, or no, you're not supposed to be with this person. But either way, I know the answer that I wanted because of that feeling that I had in that moment. And that's how I knew after all of this that this all happened for a bigger purpose. And it's to know that I have free will. I have the ability to stay in my relationship. And that feeling of possibly losing him freaked me the fuck out. Like, I freaked out. And I didn't have the ability to speak up in my relationship at that time. Like, my communication was just poor. It was not the best. And this woman helped me understand, without even trying to help me understand, that you need to speak up. You need to, like, your shit just has to change in order for you to stay with this person. So, and that's really what I learned through all of this without her even saying anything. So basically, I'm not going to end up with this person. She sees me having a little boy, which I'm currently pregnant. I'm 35 weeks pregnant with a boy right now. At the moment, I was like, a boy? No, I'm having a girl. Like, I just pictured myself as my first child having a girl. I really was like, no, I'm having a girl. I have the name picked out. Everything that you think, however you plan your life out, the universe and God just laugh at it. And they don't do it in a mean way, but they're just like, you silly human. You silly, my love. Let me give you a hug and pat you on the back, you silly little thing. It's not the way it works. You think something's going to happen. It's not. Everything is not what we expect. And that's what this thing with this whole psychic is about too. It's not what you expect. So she told me this. She told me other things like, there was going to be like a flood in one of the offices. There was going to be stuff going on with my gut. Like, I need to take care of my gut. She was really focused on the gut. There was things going on with like stuff politically that she was talking about. So much stuff that I didn't really pay attention to. I wrote it down somewhere, but I didn't pay attention because I was so locked into the fact that I was not going to be with my partner. And it freaked me out a lot because I know that this lady has said things to my friends, and everything that she said in some way happened. So I get off the call. She said stuff that was going to be happening with the law. She said stuff that was going to be happening with floods going on and electricity and like stuff like that. And I didn't know how to put everything. I was just writing and I was like, none of this makes sense whatsoever, but we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. So, and this is all within a span that she says of like 6 months to a year of happening. I think she said like 6 months. And I was like, 6 months is very fast. But in the moment, you see it as it's a long way from now. 6 months to a year. And I thought, she would give like certain timestamps of when something is going to happen. But those timestamps haven't lined up completely. But the things that she said have lined up completely. It just, the time was a little bit off. So after her telling me all of this, I freak out. I basically wanted to vomit at work that day. I was like, this woman just told me that my relationship is ending. And I, my little silly self and how my little like cycles happen is the moment that I would figure out that somebody's not meant for me in the past, I would shut down emotionally and just self-sabotage until the point where we had to break up. I did not want to do that this time. It's almost like I felt the cycle going and I was in the cycle, and then I felt my soul was like, yo, this is the time where you're changing the cycle. You're ending the cycle that you've been repeating for 33 years. It's done now. Like, this is where you actually put in the work to end the cycle. And the cycle was, and this is what my friend told me, that she had done, stuff with psychics before. And she was like, I think when she said that you were going to be with 5 other people, She also said I was going to freeze my eggs. I haven't frozen my eggs. I'm pregnant. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope I don't have to. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. But in that moment, I think that's what she was experiencing and what she was reading from me. So maybe in that moment, if I continued in that mindset that I had, I would have ended up losing my relationship. I would have ended up being with different people, and I would have ended up freezing my eggs. Because if I'm not going to meet somebody, I don't know what it is. Maybe I will freeze my eggs in the future. It kind of gets me a little freaked out thinking about it. But my friend also said that she believes when she was talking about 5 other people, she thinks it's 5 other versions of the person that I'm with. And I can tell you the version of the person that I am with now as compared to a year ago is a completely different version, because I'm a completely different version. And I learned that instead of speaking up and standing my ground and speaking my needs, I learned that I was a very big people pleaser. And I learned that I have people pleased and I have coddled the men in my life. I wanted to make them feel good without standing up for myself. And not that I was like, I'm not stepped on, like I'm not like, nobody could disrespect me, but there's a sense of like, I wanted to be the cool girlfriend. I want to be the girlfriend that doesn't nag about anything. I'm chill, you can do whatever you want, and like, as long as you're not disrespecting me, we're good. But in reality, there's parts of the relationship where it's like the stuff that was happening wasn't hurting me, but I didn't like it. And like, I should be able to speak up about that. There were certain things that I wanted that I wouldn't speak up about. Why am I not speaking up? Like, what is the point of being in a relationship if I'm not communicating how I want to be treated, or what I want to, if something's bothering me, to speak up and talk about it instead of just keeping it in and being like, it doesn't matter, I'm going to pick and choose my battles. You should do that with certain things, but not everything. You don't have to be the cool girl every time. So basically, I was learning how to be a little bit more authentically myself over the past year, because in that moment, I freaked out so much to the point where I was like, I think I had my first panic attack that I have had in a very long time. That weekend, I went away with girlfriends after this whole reading. Literally the next day, I went away with girlfriends to Orlando, and I was so freaked out. I was so like, is he going to leave me this weekend? I was catastrophizing in my head so much, because I was like, okay, so this person is not meant for me. But then after a little bit of talking with a bunch of people, talking with people that I respect and I trust, like this girl that does my tarot readings, I spoke with some of my really closest friends. They're all like, Jess, you have free will. Psychics cannot tell you what is going to happen, and it's 1000% going to happen. There's versions of the stuff that can happen. There's versions of you in that moment that if you were to remain the same person, the same version, yeah, all that stuff can happen, but you have the free will to change everything. And I believe that now, because my relationship is 10 times better just because of the experience I had with that lady. Had I not experienced that scary situation of thinking that I was going to lose the person that I'm in love with, I would have stayed the same. I would have felt all these feelings of like, I don't know if I want to be with this person anymore. I don't know if this person is going to want to be with me. Like, something is missing. I felt like something was wrong, and I didn't know what it was. But in reality, it was just me needing to speak up. It was me learning that I can be more authentically myself, and I could be louder. I had this like lump in my throat that I would experience all the time, where it's like this pressure that I had in my throat, where it's like, you know, when you're about to cry, that feeling that you get the lump in your throat. I felt that all the time. I would do these movement classes. I would go to my friends' movement classes. And when I'd be moving my body, I would feel that lump. And it's like the energy just got stuck in there. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it happened for like months. And I finally found out that it was the need to speak, to open up that throat chakra, to just speak to people in general, like speak my needs, to stop people pleasing, to stop morphing and being a chameleon to certain people and the way that they are, because it's not being me. I am not doing anyone service by being something that is just morphing to how they want me to be, the way that they see me, just morphing into that. The way that my boyfriend saw me being just like a chill girlfriend, that's not, I could still be chill, but I could still have a backbone. And I feel like I didn't have a backbone. I didn't have the backbone to say no to things. I didn't have the backbone to, unless it was like, you know, I said no, but certain things that I just didn't want to do. Like if I didn't want to go out that night, not feeling bad about it, you can go, I'll stay home. Just certain I just learned a lot about myself after this whole experience. And looking back a year from now, or looking back a year later, I could say it was one of the scariest moments that I have had, and then also one of the most life-changing. And I knew that I had to go through that, because also with other things that she spoke about, things came true. But in the way that I saw it, in that fear-based mentality of like, oh my God, am I going to get arrested? Stuff is happening with the law. There's going to be like a flood. Is my house going to flood? Is the office going to flood? Like, if just all of this fear came and sat in, I'm going to lose this person that I'm with. Like, okay, when is that going to end? When is the timeline when this person is going to release me? And it all didn't happen. It did in some ways, but also like in ways like the relationship, he is a different version of himself because I have become a different version of myself. I've become an evolved version of myself, which has allowed him to step into an evolved version of himself, because I think that's what relationships are about. We're supposed to evolve together. And some people start evolving a little bit like this, and they can feel like this person isn't doing their job at evolving. But if they just continue to trust that the relationship is what it is meant to be, and if you love the person and you want to be with the person, you have patience, then this person will start to evolve as well. But while you're evolving, to not nag the person, to not tell them like, can't you grow the fuck up? Or can't you do this that's different? Or no, it's just maintaining in your own lane, giving them love and giving them patience. And if they start to evolve, then you'll see that you both will start doing this. But if this person does not want to change, they don't want to make changes, they don't want to be a different version of themselves, they don't want to get better, like that's what life is about. Like our parents, every single human that we know used to be a different version of themselves when they were younger. Some people get very stuck in those versions. They get stuck in the cycles that they have gone through, and they don't know how to get out of them. It's like a hamster wheel that they just continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. And then something happens where the universe and God is going to be like, yo, I'm going to shake your world the fuck up if you do not step off of this hamster wheel and start doing something different. You got to move different in order to get different, or else you're just going to be on this for the rest of your life. And then you're going to come back into another life and deal with the same things over and over again. So I know that feeling that I had before I spoke to this lady, that feeling of anxiety, it's almost like my soul knew that this was going to be a big moment. It was going to be a very dark moment because I went down a dark little spiral afterwards. But then it's like all of those sleepless nights and all of the overthinking, it just made me have no choice but to stand up for myself, to step up and communicate in a different way, to be a different, more confident version of myself, where I was like, listen, this is what I feel like I need to be, so I'm going to be it. And then he caught on and he understood without me even saying. I never told him anything about the psychic experience. I never told him that this is the way it was going to be, and that she said that we weren't going to end up together. But I do 100% believe that it is just different versions of this person that I am going to experience, and I am going to be a different version of myself as well. Because the version that she was reading was a scared, needed validation on, I felt ugly. I felt I've been in this relationship. It's going to be 4 years coming up. Back then, now it's over 4 years, but I was we're coming on to this relationship. This is the longest relationship I've ever had. And I just feel like I'm not myself. And it was me that was doing that. He wasn't doing that. He was just being himself. And I was trying to morph to that person because that's what I had done in every other relationship. I always morphed. I always turned in to somebody that person wanted. And then I would resent them for me morphing into that. But it wasn't them that was doing it. It was me. I was trying to morph. I was trying to people please. I was trying to be a different version of myself so I could fit in with this person. And I had done that with friends. I've done that with a lot of things. And then they say that 33 is a big number. It's a big year because the number means a lot, in different religions and all that stuff. And spiritually, your 33rd year is a year where you really come into yourself and a lot of change happens. And I feel it. I feel the most me I've ever felt. I still slip back into old ways sometimes, but then my newer version is able to be like, Jess, we're not going down that cycle again. So you're either going to step up and start speaking up about this, or you're going to get sucked back in again. And I have more awareness now about just being me and learning who that is. And the only way that you could do that and learn who you are is by speaking up your needs, speaking up, getting this all of your, every chakra has to be going and you got to get the energy flowing through them. I felt like this needed to open up, and it finally did. I started singing, not in front of people, but I started singing. I started chanting. I started humming. I started doing things that would help me open this up. And now it's gotten me to even want to talk more in this way. Because I did it a lot in the past. And then when I was single, I felt like I was really myself. And then when I get into relationships, it's the same thing that happened. I just morphed into somebody different that I thought this person wanted me to be. When in reality, this person just wants you, the ladies, the guy just wants you to be yourself. If he doesn't want you to be yourself, then you're with the wrong guy. But if you are completely authentically yourself and he loves you for that, that is the person that you were meant to be with. If you also love his authentic, most real version. And that's the whole point of relationships, is learning these layers of who we are and who this other person is. And then also learning to evolve together and working as a team, as a coexisting team, two separate beings that decide to come together. And each person, as you are together like this, has to maintain that authenticity and that independence in some way. That's what codependent, I think I was very codependent. I was just I needed to morph into somebody else to make you love me. And that made me resent a person. It made me start to resent the relationship because why was I morphing? Why are you making me morph into somebody different when in reality they're not? They are just being themselves and you are allowed to be yourself. And I just lost myself a little bit. For a couple of years, I felt like I lost myself, and now I feel like I am understanding who I am again. And if it wasn't for that psychic ruining my life, then I would not have upped my life and made it. I would not have evolved and gotten off that cycle that I was about to get sucked back into. So that's pretty much it. I'll have other stories about this, and I'm sure I'll come up with something else to talk about psychics and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you take in whatever the lesson is that I just said. I don't even really know what I just said for the last 30 minutes, but I hope that you take something, and don't be afraid of psychics. Just have an open mind about it, because that's what my friends had told me when I was freaking out. And I don't think I finished that statement, that they just told me, you have free will to do whatever it is you please. If you want to make your relationship work, you will make it work. It is your free will to do what you want, and nobody can tell you how your life is going to be. You can take what they say and live life in that way and think that you don't have free will, but you do. So whatever it is, whatever idea that you think it means, the whole reading, you can go by that, or you can sit back and start just moving differently in life, connecting and being more intuitive, connecting with yourself on a more authentic level. And then you will see that the things that the psychic tells you are not necessarily, it's not so black and white. That's a big thing that I learned, is the psychic reading, it is not black and white. It is very vague. It is very you don't know. It's like you're trying to find the exact puzzle piece as to what the meaning is. You're not going to. It's however you play out your life, something will happen in a sense that is correct. But they are just reading timelines, and you can be on this one timeline. This is like the whole idea of quantum jumping and quantum physics and whatever quantum timelines. There's a million different unlimited timelines of how your life can go. And if you're on this one timeline, that's what they're reading. And then if you decide to move differently, it puts you into a different timeline. It puts you into a different path. And that's what I did. So things still happened. Whatever she said still happened, but it wasn't so black and white. I was just reading it from this way, but now I'm reading it this way with a little bit more of an open mind. I hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you soon.